of the greenhouse in Ontario. So and current, so that's it about company.
So how does your technology, how is it different from the regular technology?
See, it's different because, as I told, it's a process fuel technology, and it's far better than compared to RDF in India, which currently they are, I think, using. And our due to our technology, it's a kind of pollution free, because we produce pellets, and the residue of the plant and as well as the ash from the power plant will be converted to the green aggregates through, it will be connected to the power plant. Um, so there is no residue for the landfill, and the pellets are converted into a dense form. So we are getting per mass unit like more energy to the pellets.
So you're trying to solve multiple problems. So A, you're using the waste which would normally go into a landfill,
Yes.
and you're turning that into some kind of energy,
Yes.
and then you're taking out the important parts of the waste into the recycling back into the market.
Yes.
And in your experience coming to India, what's been your experience so far?
We started this process in India in 2014, and the reason of starting in India actually because my background, I'm Indian, my partner, he's Indian, and that's how in 2014 we started. And currently we are in talk with few of the state governments like in Kerala, in Andhra, and we just started in Tamil Nadu. And actually I'm going today to talk, we had a meeting with Haryana's Chief Minister, so I have a meeting there tomorrow also, even for Haryana. And we believe that with our innovative technology, very soon, like in next 2-3 years, we will see our plant operating in India. And I think it will be a great achievement for us, as well as it will help in India's Swachh Bharat movement, as well as smart city also. And we do have backup of technology is there, and we do have backup of investment, like we are bringing FDI in India. But although we do have investment, we are open to investment in investment in India also.
That's true. You do touch on various points of the Indian government's strategy in terms of either Swachh Bharat and pollution control, and of course power generation. All three very key things. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brock, let me turn over to you right now. You're a relatively new entrant, a new life into India, and one of the things that I'm always amazed when I see companies coming in for the first time into India is, of course, to get their sense of you cannot come to a market unless you have something that's a differentiator. And tell us how your technology, first tell us a little bit about your company, and then tell us how your technology is indeed different, and what's the impact going to be in India.
Well, we're renewable energy. We're a Canadian company, obviously, and what we do is we transform waste motor oils, so hazardous waste motor oils, into B100 biodiesel. So we do this in an environmentally friendly manner. We don't produce any waste products, such as wastewater, and we don't consume any water. And our plants are run off of any byproducts we create. So we do this in a very environmentally friendly manner. And our end product, which is unique, because once it's created, it can go right into your tank. We don't have to blend it or mix it with any other fuels. So our fuel, we take a large hazardous waste, and India generates 1.2 billion liters of waste oil annually, and that's growing by 75 million liters every year. And this is a big problem, and how to effectively manage this waste product and turn it into a value-added product, which can be used every day in everybody's vehicles. And it also supports India's policies of being energy security.
So you tell me a little bit about the specifics of the technology. So you take waste oil, engine oil, motor oil, lubricants of that sort, and at the end of that process, you get a certain grade of diesel. Now, is this the path to innovation? Talk to me a little bit about the path to innovation in that space.
So it's patent pending technology, and what we do is we create through our recycling process, which is similar to a traditional oil refinery. We produce we produce B100 biodiesel, which meets international standards of D975, plus it exceeds the Indian standards of Bharat 3. So it can run in all the vehicles that are on the road today. And we do that in a very cost-effective manner. Our end products can be, our end product of diesel can be sold at market rates. We don't require any premiums to make this a cost-effective technology or a cost-effective project.
Well, you certainly, as you probably know, India is a big importer of fuel and petroleum products. So having a method where you can turn waste oil into something that's reusable is certainly something that is extremely wanted and needed in a country like India. Thanks very much. We'll come back to a few more questions later on. Let me turn to you, Mr. Kartikeya. I hope I pronounced that correct. Questor, tell me, as India industrializes, all these gases and all these byproducts that come out in the industrialization process, 5, 6, 10 years ago, we would burn them, send them up into the clouds, and hope for the best. We've all become more knowledgeable now. We understand the pollution controls. We understand the impact to our society. And your company is focused in that area. Tell me a little bit about your company.
Yeah, good morning panels and everybody. Questar Technology is an Alberta company. It's very well positioned in the international environmental solutions. Questar produces products which is extensively and independently tested by clients like ExxonMobil, Shell, TransCanada Pipelines, and Domino Explorations. Some of these words might trigger you how when I say independently tested by these guys. So this is a proven technology by now. The company is in Toronto Stock Exchange and very well positioned in serving Indian market.
Okay, great. So your technology, where in India would be your target? Who would be your target market in India?
Yeah. Questar's main product is waste gas incinerators. When I say waste, it's a tremendous amount for a country like India with the population as well as the energy security when you want to produce so much amount of energy. So currently we have positioned very well. We are already serving our Fortune 500 company, ONGC, in Mumbai, as well as Kane India asset in Rajasthan. Now, what is the potential I see from this Tamil Nadu Global Investors meeting is out of that waste which is being burnt, or any volatile compounds like PAH, polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons, or any unburnt hydrocarbons in your process stream can be burnt with a process called thermal oxidization. Our product can also be called as thermal oxidizer. So much amount of heat is created to destruct the toxic components under pollution control limits. So if you are able to recover that particular heat, it is a fantastic option. So this arena has created an option where we can recover the waste heat out of the skin of the equipment and produce close to 75 kilowatt power.
That's fantastic. So once again, you're achieving two of the objectives. One is dealing with pollution, and the second one is instead of sending it into the air, you're turning it into power.
True. Another one point I like to add is, in India, we lost major of the power in the transmission. We all know that there is a huge loss happens when it comes from the grid. So our product is like an home inventor or an assistance. Any plant which can be self-sufficient in their process, as well as they can power up a control room in their own plant. Such kind of product. A 75 kilowatt can able to power up something in their plant.
That's very true. So you're seeing, Ravi, you're seeing a lot of these technologies kind of come together in different ways. And one of your sales pitches is, how do you bring all these independent distributed powers onto the grid, and how does the grid actually help and become more efficient? What's your take on that?
Sure. I think you just heard from all of us, the discretization of energy is where the main theme is going to be. And in fact, in Turkey, Istanbul, the global regulators were speaking, and I was the non-regulator in that conference. The entire marketplace of a vertically integrated utility model is probably going to go away on the distribution utilization level. So if you look at the product sets of all three, particularly on the supply side, you can almost say you can run your own private utility, you can do a private bilateral, you are having your own energy security, and you really don't need the grid. So you're actually going to be more cost competitive by not having to pull wires into remote places or trying to beef up a very insecure grid, trying to get it to a level of security that we have in the Western world. So these are all very alternative, relatively inexpensive technology to be able to bring economic development, to be able to create jobs locally, and also to have solutions which are necessarily not very traditional. So I think I'm very excited, in fact, with all three. The Ring of Fire, in fact, Ontario has got the Ring of Fire for its mining industry. And instead of pulling wires, because I come from a utility guy, so let me not criticize myself, but instead of pulling wires into the wilderness, we are thinking the Ring of Fire supply line will actually be the biomass industry. So by taking the wood into there, that is going to be its local generation. The solar and the wind will all be adding to it. And so why pull transmission lines to the middle of nowhere? So Australia is like that. I know you don't have a very vibrant mining sector, but perhaps you will. And so these issues, then these technologies play a very alternative role to a very traditional model that you're seeing in other places. So that's my excitement here.
That's great. Thank you, gentlemen. But let me give the audience a chance to ask a few questions. I open it up to the floor in case anybody has some questions for the panelists. Yes, the gentleman in the back, please. A mic. Sure, go ahead. I think they're getting him a mic. In the meantime, you can please go ahead with the question.
I have a question for Mr. Bala. Could you please explain about how your process, because you gave us a sketchy figure, very difficult to figure out. Please tell us. There seems to be potential. That's why I'm asking this. Can you explain what is this technology? What is the waste you want to utilize it? And that could be probably helpful.
Your question is more related to power generation or on the destruction of volatile or hazardous toxic compounds?
Power generation.
Power generation.
Utilize the waste energy, basically.
Right. So there, I believe there is a small leaflet which is circulated. There is a skid package which you can see is called Clear Power Waste Heat Generator, which utilizes combined waste heat recovered to power generation technology. Waste heat generator utilizes waste heat that is lost energy from various heat sources. When we say source, the heat can be of anything, whether it can be sourced from a hazardous gas destruction, or it can be from a biofuel heat, or it can be a coal-based heat, whatever the heat source. The product actually, any heat source lost energy from various heat sources to generate electricity with no added fuel consumption or exhaust emission. So it's a 10 feet by 10 feet by 8 feet side of a skid, which produces close to 75 kilowatt power.
Yeah, but I'm sorry that I couldn't see this brochure, so thank you.
That's great. And maybe perhaps later on, it's a bit
Yeah.
of a technical drawing, so maybe after the session, you
Yeah.
certainly want to go through that.
And one more question to
Of course.
Ravi. This solar, we are talking about very extensively in terms of the power generation, but of course you are mostly focused on LED kind of lighting and small house. Those definitely it's acceptable way to go. But in terms of a large production for the power generation, I think the cost of generation itself very high, number one, and it is not 24/7, it's not a reliable power. So how you cannot equate, okay, I'm in Canada, I've been doing that, I'm a US person, I can see US also. Everybody talks, but the renewable energy in the US is less than 4%. But I do not know about Canada. But if that is the case, why we are beefing up this particular solar for the power generation? That's my question. So what's your thinking about compared to India? India is need power. You know that we have a lot of power cut. We need basically power by 24/7. We are sure that it may not produce, it may not give. Solar cannot substitute either thermal or nuclear. So we know that. So what's your thinking on how India should move forward?
A very good question. The question is, where are you today and where do you want to go in the future? If you look at most of fossil fuels, even in the Western world, forget Ontario that led it, we've shut our coal-fired plants on the health effect of coal. That was the key. Today, if you look at the entire Tennessee Valley, Ohio Valley, EPA has basically told every one of the coal-fired plants you are on almost a death watch. So it's going to be shut down. And it's all the health effect of coal. If you read my blog on the LinkedIn, you will see for the first time in the EU, they're thinking that the slurry ash ponds are getting highly radioactive relative to the natural level of radioactiveness. So you look at the Singrauli, the Corbas of the world, they've all been sitting there for 25 years. So you never know what's going to come from the back to bite you. So the alternative strategies are as many fuel sources you can, and that is what even Canada has done, even though we are a very fuel-rich country. So we have not rested on our laurels that it's cheap. You know, we have nuclear, hydroelectric at 2 cents. But yet we have gone solar and wind because we know it is the technology mix that gives you security, basically. So countries